Well, the Cartel movie is about corruption in public education. It starts with the idea that money often doesn't reach the classroom, and a lot of ordinary teachers will tell you this if you ask them. People generally support higher education spending, and you've had for decades more and more money going into it, throwing money at the problem, if you will. And yet, oftentimes, very rarely have there been any advances in the educational attainment of students because of this additional outlay of money. A lot of times, it disappears to contractors, to administrators, to assistant superintendents of this and that, and doesn't reach the classroom. And that's the first point. Then in the film we get into the human toll about children that are in 10th grade and don't know the alphabet, that don't know math beyond 4 times 4. The absolute dysfunction of so many, particularly inner-city urban schools, but also many suburban schools are not doing well either. And so what the film argues is that school choice is the solution, that finally, through giving parents the options of charter schools, vouchers, any kind of other alternative to a monopoly district school, there will finally be a consequence to failure, where for a generation at least, in many of these schools, there has been literally no consequence for failure. And teachers are paid simply because they're breathing and lived another year, and they get an additional salary increase for that reason. So the film makes the argument that school choice is a solution. Our follow-up now is called choicemedia.tv. It's a website that's an education reform news service. We'll be covering examples of waste, fraud, corruption, and abuse. We'll be talking about positive stories of charter school turnarounds or voucher bills, legislative updates of that kind. We'll be talking about education technology stories. And so it's an exploding world of education reform with homeschooling, charters, vouchers, and we'll be covering all that at this brand new website just launched called choicemedia.tv. We came to Colorado to cover the Douglas County voucher story, which is a really unusual story where people ran for school board, ran on the idea of school choice, and then basically presented something you see rarely in political life, which is politicians willing to yield power, saying, yes, I am now running the school district, but if you want to go take the money, at least 75% of the money per student, and go to another school with that, and not use our schools that we're running, that's okay with us. We will yield you that power. It's pretty rare in American history. Maybe George Washington was the last guy that yielded power to this degree. Dropout rates in Denver are sky high, a mile high, you might say. They are, according to numbers I saw, which are from the Colin Powell organization, a few years old in fairness, but over 50% of kids in Denver public schools don't finish high school. It's apparently a disaster there, like it's a disaster in most urban centers across America. And many suburban schools also, while they might be safe and the kids might have new sneakers and iPads, many of them don't do well compared to an international standard.